Hey everyone, this is just a quick update on what I have been doing for the past few months. As you might know, I have been creating a course for VS Code. The main criteria for building that course is developer performance. So the idea is for you to master, your main tool, which is your editor, and output as much quality code as fast as possible. So, there's a lot of automation involved. There's a lot of considerations that went into creating this course. And for the past few months, particularly more intensely in the past 2 months, I came across that age old question, which is keyboard versus keyboard and mouse. And here's my findings. So for the past 2 months, I installed Vim, which is the main tool people use to replace the mouse with the keyboard. Um, so I installed Vim. I created a list of all the shortcuts. I learned those shortcuts. I became proficient with those shortcuts. And then I noticed I was quite a bit slower with Vim and just using the keyboard than using a combination of the keyboard and the mouse and not using Vim at all. So that was weird to me because I thought just using the keyboard was faster, was more efficient. So what I did was I created a list of all the tasks that we do as developers. Tasks like folding and unfolding code, scrolling the file, jumping to a particular line, jumping to a particular function or a symbol within the file, switching tabs, placing the cursor in a particular place in the file. This is like a bunch of different tasks that we do. Search and replace, all that. So I created a list, and then I actually went through to see, I analyzed the process of for each one of those tasks. And here's the conclusion. And it took me 2 months to reach these conclusions. But the conclusion is just using VS Code without Vim and using a combination of the keyboard and the mouse is equal on some tasks or better on other tasks than using Vim. So Vim is on some tasks is equal. Then using Vim, or when I say using Vim, I mean using Vim and just using the keyboard, and not using Vim and using a combination of the keyboard and the mouse. So if you use Vim, your performance on some tasks is equal, on other tasks is worse. Or switching it around, not using Vim is equal or better. So that was kind of I wasn't expecting that conclusion, but it is what it is. So I can give you a brief explanation for why that is. So I'm just going to give you two quick examples, and if you want later, I can actually create a video and explain, go through all those little tasks with you and explain why not using Vim and using a combination of the keyboard and the mouse is actually faster. But just two quick examples. For example, if you want to jump to a particular line, it's like VS Code already has a shortcut for that. So you just go, what is it? I think it's Control G or Command G. Not sure because I have muscle memory, so I don't actually know if it's Control or Command. It's one of those, and you just press the number of the line, enter, and you're there. And with Vim, it's almost the same thing. You press the number of the line first, and then two G's like GG, and it jumps to that line. There's other ways you can jump to a line, but this is just one. In this example, for this particular task of jumping to a line in the file, it's the same. Performance is the same because you're using the keyboard anyway. Now, for tasks like you have the cursor here. You want to place the cursor there. In Vim, so just using the keyboard, you have a few problems. The first is you have a context switch, because you're developing your code. You're thinking about the program that you want to create, and you have to stop that for a little while and think about how you're going to place the cursor from this place into that place. So there's a bunch of different ways of doing that. So you can jump to that particular line. So you jump to the line number, and then you either go to the end of the line or do a find to find the first character in that line, or count the number of words and jump to the fourth word, for example. Or you can see how many lines up from the current line you are in that line is. It's like you want to jump 10 lines up, and then it's the same process. Use a find, a search, or go forward n lines and words. Now, the problem is that you have a context switch, and then you have a lot of decisions to make, like micro decisions, but still decisions, right? Like what path am I going to take to switch the cursor from this place to that place? Not using Vim, it's just a click. Okay, you just take the mouse and you click it. There, no context switch, no cognitive load. It's just faster, so less cognitively demanding, and it's just faster in practice. Now, there have been a few studies in the 80s that say using the keyboard is actually faster, but the thing is, there's two problems with that. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details. I think the main problem, the one that has more weight to it, is that mouses in the 80s sucked. They have this really big rubber ball underneath them, and then they're very imprecise. Modern mouses, they're like super accurate. So I think it's an unfair comparison, and I think the studies from the 80s do not hold anymore, because the mouse technology is just improved. So mouses are way more accurate now than they were in the past. Excuse me. That's the main issue with those studies. Also, the interfaces that we have, the modern interfaces that we have, are suited for the mouse. And the first ones, they were not suited for the mouse. You actually had to went to a menu and then select an option there instead of just using keyboard shortcuts. So I don't think those studies apply anymore. My personal experience, and I'm kind of thorough, so I actually went through all the process and created a list of all the different tasks, and try and figure out the process for each task, and just realize that it's worse for it's either worse or the same for every single task. Okay, long story short, Vim and just using the keyboard is definitely not worth it if you're using VS Code or really any modern editor. Using a combination of the keyboard and the mouse is way better. I'm not going to insert that in the course. So, for the following few weeks or months, I'm going to keep developing the course on VS Code, and maybe create a few videos for the YouTube channel. And that's pretty much it. In the meanwhile, I hope you guys haven't been stressing too much about this corona pandemic. I personally feel it's a pleasure to see, honestly, it's a pleasure to see everyone, or almost everyone in the world, coming together to fight this. And it's very impressive to me to see how we can coordinate together at such a huge scale, so kind of makes me feel a little bit more connected with everyone in the world, and I think that's amazing. And that's pretty much it. See you guys on the next one. Bye.